There's a machine in your living room right now that was designed to make you healthier, to make you live longer. And in 2021, it pulled a 6-year-old child underneath it and killed him. The company that made it knew this could happen. The government warned them to stop selling it immediately, and their official response was to call that warning inaccurate and misleading. We'll come back to that, because that's not even the strangest thing that happened to this company. This is the story of Peloton, a business that went from worth almost nothing to worth $44 billion to worth almost nothing again in under 3 years. And the reason isn't what you think. It wasn't bad products. It wasn't bad luck. It was one belief, one dangerous, all-consuming belief, that a temporary miracle was actually permanent. Let's go back to where it started. Before he was a billionaire, John Foley worked the 4 a.m. shift at a candy factory in Waco, Texas, sorting Skittles, sorting Starbursts, not to build character, to pay tuition. He delivered pizzas too, worked the counter at McDonald's. In 2012, he had an idea, a stationary bike with a screen, streaming live fitness classes into people's homes. He pitched it to venture capital firms across Silicon Valley, and they said no, not once, somewhere between 400 and 6,000 times, depending on who's counting. Fitness is a graveyard of gimmicks, they told him. Hardware doesn't scale. John Foley ignored every one of them. He raised $307,000 on Kickstarter, then $10 million from over 100 people who believed him when the professionals didn't. By September 1919, Peloton went public. Even that went badly. The stock dropped over 11% on day one. But John Foley didn't see failure. He saw a pattern. Every time the experts said no, he'd been right to ignore them. Every single time. Keep that thought, because in about 6 months, the entire world is going to hand him the biggest "I told you so" of his life, and it's going to nearly destroy him. March 2020. The world shuts down. Gyms close. Offices close. Everyone is trapped inside, scared, isolated, and desperate for anything that feels normal. And there, in living rooms everywhere, is a bike with a screen, an instructor smiling through it, strangers riding beside you, virtually, all at once. For a lot of people, Peloton stopped being exercise. It became the only community they had left. Sales exploded, nearly 300% growth in under 6 months. By January 2021, the stock hit an all-time high, $171 a share. Valuation, $44 billion. Foley's personal paper fortune, $1.9 billion. He wasn't just vindicated anymore. He felt like a prophet. And here's the question nobody in that boardroom asked out loud. What happens when the world reopens? Instead of asking it, Peloton did something else. They started spending like the pandemic would never end. A $450 million lease, 15 years, a luxury headquarters in Manhattan. $420 million to buy a commercial fitness manufacturer just to keep up with delivery backlogs. $100 million to charter cargo planes, flying stationary bikes from Taiwan to North America just to move faster. Added up, that's close to $1 billion in new commitments. And the biggest bet hadn't even happened yet. A $400 million, 200-acre factory in Wood County, Ohio, the Peloton Output Park. Local officials handed over a 100% property tax break for 15 years. The promise, 2,100 new manufacturing jobs for the town. Foley wasn't building a company anymore. He was building an empire. Hardware, software, manufacturing, all of it owned forever. There was just one problem nobody said out loud. None of this was built for a normal year. It was built for the most abnormal 6 months in modern history, and normal was already on its way back. While Peloton spent billions expanding outward, a darker problem was building inside its own hardware. The Tread Plus treadmill, $4,295, a status symbol as much as a machine. Underneath it, a design flaw, an open rear roller, no real guard, a pole strong enough to drag in a small child or a pet. By early 2021, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission had documented 72 separate incidents. 29 involved young children, second- and third-degree burns, broken bones. Then, the one that couldn't be undone. A 6-year-old child pulled underneath the machine. He didn't survive. On April 17, 2021, the government issued an urgent warning. Stop using this treadmill immediately if there are children or pets in the home. Peloton's response? They called the warning inaccurate and misleading. They defended the machine that had just killed a child. Congress got involved. The public turned. And 18 days later, Peloton reversed course completely, recalling all 125,000 units. This was a company that marketed itself on wellness, on extending your life, and for 18 days, it had argued with the government about a machine that was ending it. A real child's death had already cost Peloton its reputation. Then, 8 months later, a fictional death cost it its stock price. December 2021, the Sex and the City reboot airs its first episode. A beloved character finishes an intense workout on a Peloton bike and then collapses, dead of a heart attack. It was fiction. Nobody at Peloton saw the twist coming. By the next morning, the stock had dropped over 11% in a single trading day. A TV show did what years of safety warnings couldn't. Peloton scrambled. A rapid response commercial filmed and released within 48 hours, reassuring the public that cycling doesn't kill you. It worked for about a week. Then the actor who played that character was publicly accused of sexual assault by multiple women. Peloton had to pull the ad entirely. A real death, a fictional death, a scandal, all within the same few months. And underneath every headline, the real damage, the leases, the debt, the overexpansion, kept quietly piling up. Nobody outside the company could see it yet, but the walls were already closing in. By February 2022, the math had caught up with the mission. The world had reopened, gyms were full again, and Peloton was sitting on factories, warehouses, and inventory built for a demand that had simply stopped showing up. The company announced $800 million in annual cost cuts. The centerpiece? 2,800 people laid off, 20% of the workforce. Here's how they found out. Tuesday, February 8, 2022. Employees across the US and Canada logged in to start their day. Slack, gone. Email, gone. Some learned they were fired by reading it in the news before their own company told them. Peloton's entire brand was built on one idea: we ride together, a tribe, equal, no matter who you were. And now, that tribe found out they were unemployed through a deactivated login screen. The severance, cash, healthcare, and a free 12-month subscription to the app they'd just been fired from. Some couldn't afford rent. They joked about selling their company gear online just to cover bills. 2 months earlier, John Foley had bought a $55 million mansion in the Hamptons. That same December, while the standard company holiday party was canceled to save money, Foley threw his own at the Plaza Hotel. 400 guests, celebrity instructors flown in. He called it our moment. For the people locked out of Slack 8 weeks later, it was a very different kind of moment. And that machine from Act 4, the one they'd fought the government over. By 2023, the documented pull-under incidents had climbed past 350. Even while the company was busy protecting its stock price, the human cost was still climbing. Peloton's stock had collapsed from $44 billion to under $8 billion in a matter of months. Activist investors smelled blood. A firm called Blackwell's Capital released a 65-slide presentation dismantling Foley's leadership. They didn't need to invent any criticism. They just quoted him. "I think I'm not very good at managing. I interview almost nobody. I'll go sometimes months without talking to our CTO." His own words used against him. By February 2022, Foley resigned as CEO. By September, he was gone from the board entirely. Because almost his entire fortune was tied up in Peloton stock, when the company lost 87% of its value, his $1.9 billion fortune went with it. He sold his East Hampton estate at a loss. He sold his Manhattan townhouse. The man who beat 6,000 rejections to build an empire was now selling his own homes to cover debt. "I've lost all my money," he told the press. "I've had to sell almost everything in my life." The instinct that built Peloton, ignore the doubters, trust yourself completely, had never once failed him, until the one time it did. The next CEO, Barry McCarthy, was hired to do one specific thing: undo almost everything Foley had just built. The $400 million Ohio factory, construction stopped, eventually sold for $33 million, a loss of over 90%. The 2,100 jobs promised to that town, they quietly disappeared with the land sale. The in-house manufacturing in Taiwan shut down. The delivery vans, the warehouses, the physical stores closed, sold, outsourced. Peloton didn't just downsize, it reversed its entire identity. From a company that wanted to own everything to a company selling off everything just to survive. The company that once wanted to manufacture its own hardware, run its own factories, and own its own delivery fleet decided the only way to survive was to own almost nothing at all. Under CEO Peter Stern, Peloton became a subscription business, AI-driven coaching, a partnership with Lululemon, strength training instead of just cardio. By 2026, for the first time in years, it was profitable again. Not $44 billion, not an empire, but alive. And in May 2026, something quietly happened that no headline really captured. In a live cycling class in New York, 3 people rode in the front row together: the current CEO, the new Chief Content Officer, and John Foley, back in a Peloton studio for the first time since the day he was forced out. The instructor thanked him on the mic, told the room none of this existed without his original obsession, the same obsession that built a $44 billion company, the same obsession that helped destroy it. Foley just kept pedaling. A machine that killed a child, a tribe that found out they were fired through a deactivated login, a founder who beat 6,000 rejections and still lost everything. Different headlines, same root cause. Peloton didn't collapse because the pandemic ended. It collapsed because for 18 months its leadership couldn't tell the difference between an extraordinary moment and a permanent one. It's not the first company to make that mistake. .com, housing, crypto, every bubble sounds the same in the moment. This time it's different. Peloton just became one of the clearest examples on record. So here's the question worth sitting with. Somewhere out there right now, another company is convinced its own extraordinary moment is permanent. Which one do you think it is?